Knuckles was black coated and took a lot from black culture, music, aesthetics, etc. Not only is this representation, but not letting Knuckles lose his identity.
Great story, man.
You are fake news.
Oh my god, why? Why are we doing this? Why? What is the point of this? What the fuck? This is so dumb. This is beyond dumb. This is beyond head ass. This is the absolute highest peak of head ass takes. Okay, so last night, Idris Elba got announced as being the voice of Knuckles in the next Sonic movie, which honestly, I was happy to hear about. I love Idris Elba. I like Knuckles. Idris Elba recently did great as Bloodsport in the Suicide Squad. He's just a solid actor overall. And while some people can't necessarily picture him as Knuckles, I think it's a fine casting choice. I don't see any reason why it would automatically be bad. And okay, maybe he's not the voice that comes to mind when you think of Knuckles. So they went off the beaten path. But we've seen casting choices that were off the beaten path before, things that we didn't think would work. Note every live action Batman ever since Adam West, and probably Adam West 2. And we're usually blown away with how good the portrayal is. And honestly, it's a voice for an anthropomorphic echidna from a video game. What's sending me this morning is takes like this. These people who are claiming that Knuckles is black, was black coded, represents black people, and having him be voiced by a black man is an example of representation and having him represent his identity. This is always the case with the coded crowd. Every time there's a character that even kinda sorta has some things in common with black folks, they claim that they're intended to be black. It doesn't matter if it's an orange alien warrior princess, frickin' orcs, or an echidna with giant ass fists. It's obviously a black person. Oh, orcs? Oh, you mean the dumb, brutish characters who are obsessed with violence? Oh, they're clearly supposed to be black. Why is Knuckles black coded? Oh, because he has an attitude, and because sometimes he's dumb and gullible, and because he's tough, and there's a rap theme for him. So if there's a rap theme for him, then it means he's black. And he has locks, so it means he's black. And he's just black because I like him the most, so I want him to be black. Blah blah blah, whoop-de whoop-de woo, this, that, and the third, and it never stops, and I hate my life, and I can't do this alone, so I'm calling in some help. I'm phoning a friend for this fake-ass nerd news episode. This particular friend is an absolute Sonic fan, so what she has to say about this is probably going to be even worse than me, but I just need someone to rage with me for a little bit. So come on, Igika.
So, Black Knuckles, he's totally black coded.
Oh,
Human beings.
oh.
Video game echidnas are black guys, if y'all didn't know, especially when they have quote unquote locks and have rap themes. That means that they're intended to be black American. And as a Sonic fan here, I'm sure Igika is just bursting with joy when she reads stuff like that, right?
Hi, hello. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Look. I will admit, yes, there is a little bit of black culture influence in the fact that, it's, let's just say, it's more majoritively that black people do wear dreads because, that's just kind of the culture, I guess. And it's the specific type of rap music that they used where the singer was, specifically black. Like, so I can understand that. But the biggest problem I have when people headcanon Knuckles as black is when they also say he must be black because he gets angry really quickly, he gets violent, and he's gullible. That's when I get angry about it. I have no problem people headcanoning characters as whatever, especially when they're anthropomorphic. They can headcanon them as whatever ethnicity when they humanize them. But stereotypes should not be the reason why you decide to have a character be a specific ethnicity or whatever. Like, oh my goodness.
It's infinitely head ass. It's one of those takes where people just lean into just the most negative stereotypes possible and say, oh, that obviously means they're supposed to be this. Knuckles has dreads, has a rap theme, is dumb, is gullible, is always angry. So that means that he's automatically black. That's right up there with orcs being black.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Oh.
Why are you intentionally choosing the worst stereotypes of black people to pull from and say, oh, they're clearly black coded? And then, because even if that were true, that's not a good thing. That's not anything that you should champion. It's not anything that you should be proud of and claim a character over. That would be like if, well, no, I was going to use Balrog from Street Fighter, but he is literally black. But, like, imagine everyone standing Balrog, the the brutish boxer who's obsessed with greed, is missing teeth, is hyper violent. Like, imagine people standing him, or imagine people standing I brought this up a little bit earlier when we were talking about it, but remember back in Steven Universe, just quick point, audience, me and Iggy. Well, I'm a recovering Steven Universe fan. I won't speak for her, but I used to stand the show, and then
Same.
I saw how trash it was, and then I stopped standing it, and then I also saw how ass the fandom was, and I stopped associating with it. But back in the day, people used to use this argument with the gems because, as you know, the gems are alien species. They're non-organic beings completely, so they really don't have a race. But people would take the ones that had the worst traits to ever be associated with black folks and say, "Oh, that clearly means that this character is black coded." Like
Especially with
Sugalite.
Amethyst. Especially with Amethyst.
Yep, and by
Oh my
extension,
goodness.
Amethyst on up to Sugalite. But yeah, they say, oh, she's clearly supposed to be black because look, she's fat and lazy. So
And
she's the
her
black one.
dancing style and the way she has her
Mm-hmm.
hair and all that sort of stuff. And the lips. If I'm being honest, I didn't see her as black. I mean, to be fair, outside of, like, unless they were specifically drawn with a specific ethnicity, like Garnet was clearly drawn to be a,
Right.
black woman, and Pearl was specifically drawn to be like a white woman. That's pretty obvious. But with Amethyst, if anything, I just kind of saw her as Amethyst. But seeing how people were just like, oh, the way she dances, the fact that she essentially twerks, she's, the body shape, the behavior, and I'm just like, these aren't good traits. And also, not just black people have these traits either. But I don't know, I just saw her as one of those like urban sort of white girls who were trying to seem like they were in with the
Well,
black crowd.
I say if I didn't really super associate her with any ethnicity, I can see some people, well, not really saying that, oh, she's supposed to be this race or the other race, but I could see a little bit of like some type of urban person more than a specific race, just someone who's like a sort of lazy party city girl of
Yeah.
any ethnicity. Probably someone who went to college, went to a lot of college parties, likes to get drunk, sleep in all day, and have a sex. And she could be of any race and be that because
Mm-hmm.
spoiler alert, any race of person could be short, chubby, like to party, have a sex,
In
and
the way that
not
anybody of
really
any
want to.
race
Yeah,
wear dreads and listen to rap music.
yeah, but because we're in this great progressive time period where we're so progressive that we make stereotypes the only acceptable truth, then that's what that has to mean, you know. We're just it's stereotypes, but just in the opposite direction. It used to be, oh, black people are all these things, so they suck. Now it's, oh, black people are all these things, so let's stand the characters that have these traits and prop them up as if they're our black representation.
Oh my goodness. It's ridiculous.
It is. And
I
and
I
when you
just
real quick, because you did mention when we were chatting earlier that Knuckles really has a really because he's an echidna, and echidna have a very specific culture and cultural references. Since you're more of
yeah.
the harder Sonic fan than me, I think it'd be great if you could throw that out there a bit because a lot of people get things mixed up and assume that, oh, this is supposed to be because they're black, but I think it's deeper than that. It's something that clearly isn't just, oh, black American.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that with echidna culture that we've seen in the game so far is, at least with the tribe that Knuckles came from, they are very much like a smorgasbord of different real world indigenous cultures. A lot of it is heavily based on like Mesoamerica, so like the Aztecs and the Mayans. You see a lot of that in like their architecture, their wall art, even their clothing. Their clothing is heavily also Native American based too.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just a massive smorgasbord. So if anything, I mean, personally, I headcanon something different, based on different reasons. But if anything, if he was going to be anything based on real world ethnicities, he would probably be Hispanic due to the Aztec and Mayan culture of the Echidna culture.
I could
It's,
definitely see that.
it's pretty simple. And Native Americans also wear dreads too. Dreads are not just a black thing.
Yeah, the idpol crowd loves to claim that only people with the kinkiest of hair can wear dreads properly.
Ooh,
And
kinky. Sorry.
I kind of walked into that one, but
Mhm.
but like only people with really tightly curled hair will say that. Excuse me. Should
Yeah.
can appropriately wear locks. And that they try to always tie it to like a Rastafarian culture, but those are not the only type of locks we know of. Everyone from people in Africa to India to the freaking
To Indigenous Australia,
Vikings and indigenous Australian people.
and Polynesians as well. They'll all have different types of like different variations of dreads.
Yeah.
And speaking of Indigenous Australian and Polynesian, that's kind of how I had Canon Knuckles as. But that's mostly because of one, of obviously echidnas being an Australian and New Guinea located animal. So I base that just based on real world geographic location, but also because of the fact that indigenous smorgasbord culture with echidnas.
Yeah, and then you look at different echidnas, ones that actually have clothes. Like my favorite is of those would be Tikal. How do you
Of
say her?
course,
But yeah,
Tikal,
yeah,
I think.
she's a damn delight. She's a real cutie. But she's clearly like, would you look at her and just say, oh yeah, she's just a black woman? I mean,
No,
she
I look at
could
her and
be
say
because
she's clearly meant to be Mesoamerican.
yeah, like, and then I think of her with the little doodlies with the little light thingies on their head. It's been a minute since I played Sonic, but like she would like look after them, and weren't they all? And wasn't she also connected somehow to Chaos, or was that somebody else?
Okay, so she was the chieftain's daughter, and the chieftain tried to destroy chaos and all that sort of stuff. But she was protecting it because chaos is kind of like the protector of the chows,
There you go.
and all that sort of stuff. That's her connection. Was she was trying to protect chaos
Yeah.
from the destruction.
And then when you get into like a lot of the versions of the echidnas from the comics, you see that represented as well too, either the Mesoamerican or the indigenous of some sort. Like I really don't get
Yeah,
Black American vibes, but because people they have the collective brain power of a rotting goldfish. These types, they look at dreadlocks, rap music, gruff attitude. Gotta be
and
black.
immediately think
Gotta
of
be
black
black.
person.
Just completely head ass. And then of course because they announced that Idris Elba is voicing him, that's giving them even more license to say, "Oh, see it is black representation now." And this kid,
Oh
he was always
gosh.
supposed to be this, so now, he's getting his identity back, as some galaxy brain said on Twitter today.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Like I said, I have no problem with people trying to say like I think that Knuckles is black. That's fine. But it hurts me when people try and make these claims based off of stereotypes. It's like when people try and claim that Shadow is black. I'm like, you really want the angry gun wielding guy to be headcanoned as black?
Right. Like y'all really don't think about these things. We got on one hand, we got the angry guy who his introduction to us in the series was Sonic and Tails were flying around with the Chaos Emeralds.
Knuckles punched the Chaos
Knuckles
Emeralds out of
knocked Sonic's
Supersonic.
ass out smooth, stole the emeralds and ran off. So we have a thief That's our black representation. Then over here in the Dreamcast generation, we have Shadow, who, what is he mainly known for? Gun toting. He totes guns and he's evil. So we have a thief and a gangbanger,
And they
essentially.
also headcanon Rouge as black as well.
Yeah, another thief who's
And
also
it's like,
highly
guys!
sensual and one of the most sexualized characters. So that works great. You want to talk about racist tropes? How about the overly sexual black woman?
Personally, if Shadow was a human, I headcanon him as Japanese. And I also headcanon Sonic as like American Japanese. And that would also explain as well why Shadow and Sonic look so similar because of the Japanese ancestry.
Tails is just a scruffy
Tails is
little
just a
white
white
boy.
kid.
Tails is just a scruffy little white boy following
Exactly.
his infinitely cooler Japanese American friend around.
Exactly. You know, and the thing is though, is when it comes to anthro characters, there is no one right answer with how their ethnicity is. They're animals. Yes, they have the skin tones on their muzzles and in the ears, if they have ears. But to try and claim that somebody is racist because they don't agree with your headcanoning is just asinine.
Yeah, it's absolutely asinine. It's completely head ass. Head canoning, coding, all that stuff. As long as you're just using that for how you perceive a character, then I'm fine with it. But a lot of people talk about this, especially the YouTuber Just Some Guy, because a lot of people do this, as I'm sure you've heard with Lord of the Rings. They'll project their own vision of
Frodo and
things
Sam
onto yeah, exactly, Frodo and Sam, or these characters being trans, or these characters being gay. If that's what you want to see as being in the story for yourself, that's fine.
People who can't seem to understand headcanons from canon. People are so self-absorbed that they think the way they think about a character is the only way anybody should think. It's the problem with modern fan culture. Thanks to things like Twitter, fans have been able to get into direct contact with creators, and they have been able to bully and harass these creators to have a show or whatever go in a particular way. People today feel so entitled. Honestly, I think I enjoyed being a fan of things before I actually started getting onto the internet, before I started getting onto Tumblr and Twitter, because I was allowed to enjoy things in my own way without somebody telling me I was a homophobe, a transphobe, a racist.
The pre-social media fandom days were infinitely better because you could have like a pointless ass nerd debate about something or a certain take you may have made in fan fiction, and it's completely fine because at the end of the day, we all know it's all fictional. It really doesn't matter that much. It's just a thing that we all like. But once the social media age got here, and in particular the Tumblr crowd, which transferred more over to Twitter, once they got their hands on fandoms, they completely wrung all the fun and lightheartedness out of everything, and everything became attached to real life trauma and issues. And if you don't like this take, you're a racist, and you hate black people because you don't
And
want little black
representation.
kids to see themselves. Yeah, I'm so worried about a black kid seeing themselves in a fucking echidna.
No, I don't want crappy race swapping. I want original black characters.
Yeah, it's
Oh
so
my
hard.
goodness.
No, it's fine. It's just so hard, guys. It's so hard to write original black character. No, but that is obviously they can't do it because they would have to, yes, be
Because that takes
creative.
effort and creativity.
And they don't want that. They just want a nice little fast track to fame by taking a character who's already well loved and just saying, "Oh, well, they're black, so that means your favorite character is black." Haha.
This is like the whole Starfire thing again.
Yep. It all at the end of the day, it all comes back to Starfire, which
Of course
they've
it
started
does.
again. And
If you see them as anything other than black, then you're a racist because you don't disagree with me. Despite the fact that there's no actual solid proof or consistency to say that they are 100% black. Oh, Starfire was drawn black in one comic, then she must be black, despite all the other comics where she's drawn as different ethnicities or has no specific ethnicity at all. Oh, Knuckles has dreads and listens to rap music, he must obviously be black, despite the fact that he's an anthropomorphic echidna that does not have a real world ethnicity, because that doesn't work with animals.
My God. Why is everything like this? Oh.
Experiences you